everybody, and welcome to another episode of the DNF podcast with your girl, Crystal. And yes, it is the Monaco Grand Prix race weekend. Yes, it is. We are in Monaco, baby. Now, I have to tell you guys this. I had the opportunity to go to the Monaco Grand Prix last year with my younger brother, and I absolutely loved it, adored it, had the best time, met the best people. It was amazing. It was my first ever Grand Prix. I had no idea what to expect. And I will say this, there are certain races that I feel like they're much better to see on TV. And there's some races that are way better to see in person. I feel like Monaco is one of those races where it's so much better to see in person than it is to see on TV. If you have the opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the great things about Monaco because I'd sit here forever. But as you know, when it is race week, what do? I give you my predictions. Now, I feel like lately I've kind of been hitting the nail on the head. So this week I decided to kind of branch out a little bit and really use my imagination. And probably I'm going to be wrong like 75% of this. But without further ado, let's get into Q1. Now, before we get into Q1, just some reminders. And if you didn't know, is for you to know. One, this weekend we will finally have 3 free practices, and it's because we don't have a sprint. So, something to keep in mind. Now, another thing, if you were not aware, is we will not have active aero this weekend, meaning that the front flaps that, go and what we know as DRS, but it's not called DRS anymore, will not open. The FIA has deemed that Monaco does not meet the requirements for active aero, so don't be surprised if you don't see people opening the aero packages, okay? Just letting you know. So, without further ado, let's get into Q1. I would love to put this team higher, but unless they're bringing an upgrade this weekend, I don't see that happening. So in P22, I have Lance Stroll, and in P21, I have Fernando Alonso. It is what it is. In P20, I have Esteban Ocon. I know that IO came out and said that it was BS what they were saying about replacing him, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and I feel like Esteban just isn't gelling really well with these new regs, or specifically with the Haas car, so I don't see him qualifying very high in Monaco. P19, I have Valtteri Bottas. I feel like, one, he's going to want to prove that, hey, I know I've been struggling and I know that my teammate has been doing a lot better than me, but I'm still a good driver. And two, I just feel like Cadillac has just slowly but surely been improving, and they're kind of moving in silence, and I love that because that's what they need to do. They don't need to come out and be like, the upgrade that we're bringing is gonna no, just move in silence and take us all by surprise. In P18, I have Arvid Lindblad. Now, he is a rookie, but it's not the first time he is racing in Monaco. If you race in F2 and in F3, you have raced in Monaco before. Racing in an F2 car versus an F1 car, big difference. And I feel like even though he did really well in Canada, Canada's very different to Monaco. Walls are way closer. A tiny hit of the wall can completely destroy your qualifying. So I know he likes to drive on the edge. You get where I'm going with this, right? I don't have to explain myself. Okay, thank you. In P17, I have Nico Hulkenberg. Now, I know what you're thinking, Crystal, what? But here's my idea with this. I feel like I need to do a little bit of a reverse psychology and give him some good luck. So what I'm doing is I'm putting him lower, so that way he'll do the opposite. Okay? Thank you. And that is the end of Q1. Now you're thinking, Crystal, you only mentioned one Cadillac. I know I did, because in P16, I have Checo Perez. I cross my fingers, hope that we at least have one Cadillac making it into Q2. they have been the very edge of being able to break into Q2. And I feel like this weekend could be that weekend where they will. Do I think this is Checo's strongest track? No, even though I know he's won in Monaco. But again, I feel like he's been outperforming his teammate. He's gelling a lot better with the car than Valtteri is. So fingers crossed, Checo P16. P15, I have Gabby. I mean, Gabby is a good qualifier, potentially could be in the top 10, but it also depends on the car. And unless the car is heavily upgraded for Monaco specifically, I don't really see Audi really being that high up. P14, I have Liam Lawson. He did really well in Canada, despite him being on the back foot the entire weekend. But I don't feel like this is going to be a strong track for the Racing Bulls. So that's why I have him in P14. P13, I have Oliver Behrman. I feel like Ollie is just gelling well with the car. I feel like obviously he's outperforming his teammate. He is making mistakes, but he's only in his second year of Formula One. I feel like he is going completely under the radar with his development. And it's just because he's not in a Mercedes, he's not in a McLaren, he's not in a Ferrari. And I feel like if he was in any of the top cars, I feel like we could potentially be talking about Ollie Behrman the way that we're talking about Kimi Antonelli. Hot take, hot take. I know, but again, it just has to do with the car that he currently has. But I feel like he's making the most of it. In P12, I have Pierre Gasly. I don't know what happened to Pierre. I was really like rooting for him. It looked like, he was out qualifying Franco. He seemed to be gelling really well with the car. And then all of a sudden they brought this upgrade to the Alpine, and it's like Pierre cannot communicate with the car, cannot gel with the car. How many times can Crystal say gel in this episode? Let me know. But it just doesn't seem that he really knows what to do with it. And not saying he's a bad driver, no, but I don't feel like he's the stronger of the Alpines in this moment. Overall, I still do feel like Pierre has the upper hand on Franco, but right now Franco is on a roll. And when you're on a roll, nothing can stop you. Your confidence goes up. But then sometimes if you get too cocky, you guys. In P11, I have Alex Albon. I would love to put my guy Alex higher, but I feel like I cursed him. So sorry, Alex. So I'm just going to put him at the cusp of Q3, not necessarily making it into Q3, kind of doing the same reverse psychology thing that I'm doing with Nico, with hoping that it'll actually elevate him into Q3 and into the top 10. And that is the end of Q2. Any surprises? Yes, no, maybe. St. Crystal, you're delusional. Probably. But anyways, let's jump into Q3. Who do I have in P10? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have Franco Colapinto. Like I said, he is on fire right now. His confidence is all the way up. He had his best F1 finish in Canada. And it seems that he's getting along really well with the upgrades that Alpine has brought. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the top 10, but that's also going to depend on Alpine's strategy for qualifying. In P9, I do have Carlos Sainz. It's wishful thinking of me to have a Williams in the top 10. I know we've seen them occasionally, but I mean, it's Monaco as well. I feel like strategy-wise, Carlos is stronger than Alex in that aspect. So therefore, I have him into Q3, and I do have him in P9. All right. Now moving on to P8. Are you ready? Because it's a shocker. Don't come at me. Don't come at me, because I have Kimi Antonelli in P8. Before you say, Crystal, what? Why? This is not a Mercedes track. If we look last year, where both Mercedes ended up, it wasn't good. This is not this isn't a track for them. It does not suit them. And on top of that, their engine is getting banned because of whatever loophole they found that was able to, give them more pace or whatnot. I don't know. I just know that their engine, something is getting banned from their engine. So I feel like it makes sense. And it is okay. Kimi has a big enough gap that being in P8 is not going to kill his chances of winning the championship. Now, if it becomes a reoccurring thing and then all of a sudden George is like P1, 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 then we do have a title fight on our hands. But him qualifying P8, I mean, it is kind of a shocker because Mercedes has been dominating, but this is just not a Mercedes track. In P7, I have Isaac Hadjar. I feel like this can go one of two ways. It can either go really well for Isaac or it can go really wrong. So I'm going to choose to be positive and say it's going to go really well. I don't feel like he's going to be that far off of Max. I don't necessarily know if Red Bull have the pace for Monaco. So unless they bring an upgrade, which today's Monday, and as of right now, they have not released any articles, any updates that I have seen that they're bringing any upgrades to Monaco. Now, P6, I have George. Again, it is not a Mercedes track, but I feel like George being the more experienced driver, even though right now it doesn't feel like anything is going well for him, he is going to outqualify his teammate, but it's not going to do much. Sorry, George. P5, I have Max Verstappen. I feel like you can't have Max lower than P5. I feel like he will probably be able to take advantage of the car. He'll figure it out. I don't think he'll be in podium contention or even in the top 3 unless something happens to the top 4. And it's just because of the pace of the Red Bull. It has nothing to do with Max's driving style or Max as a driver. Okay. In P4, I have Lando Norris. I know he won here last year. I know that he outqualified Oscar in Montreal. I know that it looked like he was just gelling with the car better than Oscar was. But I don't know. He did DNF. They're not bringing any upgrades from what I'm aware. I know there's going to be, I believe, a special livery, but that's not an upgrade. It's a strong track for him. It's going to be very close between who I have in P3, and you'll understand why. Because in P3, I do have Oscar Piastri. I feel like it's going to be a good battle between both McLarens because they both do really well at this track. Last year, Oscar was P3. The year before that, he was P2. Last year, Lando won, and the year before that, he was P4. So they've always been very close. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them exchanging P3 and P4. I don't think that McLaren is going to have the pace for Monaco because of who I have in the top 2. Now, you have probably guessed already who I have in the top 2 because I have not mentioned them, and you shouldn't be surprised. This is a Ferrari track. They typically bring a upgraded package specific for Monaco. You know, Charles did win here in 2024. This is his home race. And it looks like Lewis is, feeling really confident. He got a podium in China, P3, got a podium in Canada, P2. We're just missing that P1 and that win for him. Could this be a potential place for him to win? Possibly. Again, because this is a Ferrari dominated track. Last year, McLaren did get the jump on them, but still, who was in P2? It was Charles. So who do you think I have in pole position? Of course I do. And I'm gonna bring him out so you can see him. If I drop this, I will cry. But I do have, oh, you can't see him. I do have Charles Leclerc. This is, I'm trying to, this is his Lego helmet. Now, so I'm going to keep him right here so you can see him. Oop, I just dropped Charles. Oopsies. But this is the Lego helmet. How cool is that? I do have him taking pole position. How could I not? This is his home Grand Prix. He talks about how much he loves his home race. He literally will sit there and go to sleep listening to the laps. Like, this man has a dedication for Monaco. Of course, it's your home race. So why would I not have him on pole? Why would I not have him taking it? It doesn't make sense. However, of course, and you've probably seen it because but I do have Lewis Hamilton taking P2. How cute are these Lego helmets? Like, I know you can't really see it. Sorry, I'm trying to but so stinking cute. Look at it. Look at little Lewis Hamilton. But it's gonna be a Ferrari dominated weekend. Unless somebody comes out swinging a completely different way and somebody brings an upgrade that we're not expecting, I cannot not bet on Ferrari. However, that being said, I do have my race predictions. Now, one of the first things that I have written down is we will have a new race winner in 2026. I don't see Mercedes winning this in any way, shape, or form unless they're bringing a specific upgraded package for Monaco. And if they are, even at that, sometimes upgrades instead of upgrading you can downgrade you. So keep that in mind. There will be a crash. I think with these new regulations, even though the cars are a little bit smaller, they're not super small. Somebody's going to want to be brave and overtake, and it's going to crash. And it's going to, I mean, I feel like with new regulations, it's kind of expected as well. I really hope this doesn't happen, but I did write down that Ferrari will mess up strategy. If you know why it has taken Charles Leclerc such a long time to win his home Grand Prix. And hopefully, I mean, recently Ferrari has been okay with their strategy, but in Monaco, it's like they take an amnesia pill. We're like, we don't remember what we've done in other races, and this is what we're gonna do. So I do have that written down. I also have that McLaren will fumble. It's just a given. After what they did in Canada, I already had little to no faith in their pit wall. Now I have zero faith in their pit wall. I have zero faith in Oscar's race engineer. I have zero faith in Lando's race engineer. Well, I have a little bit more faith in Will. That's Lando's race engineer than I do with Tom, which is Oscar's race engineer. I do have this written down because it is what it is. I said most of the race will be boring. Cars are not small enough to overtake. And that's the truth. The cars are smaller, but they're not small enough to overtake. I mean, the walls are literally like this in Monaco. Like, you are scraping the wall. We saw some crazy things last year. I think maybe the first 3 to 4 laps will be interesting, and then it'll do what it always does. It'll kind of just settle in, and then once we get into the pit stops, then we will see strategy come into play. It also depends on what tires they're going to start off on. That could also cause maybe a little bit of chaos. Who knows? So last year was a mandatory 2-stop. This year, it is not a mandatory 2-stop. They do just have to stop once to make sure they change their tires. That's really it. But anyways, you guys, that is it for my predictions. I have no idea what to expect this weekend. I could be completely wrong. We could potentially be seeing a Mercedes in P1. Who knows? Or a Cadillac. That's wishful thinking. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends. And I will see you guys next week so we can debrief the Monaco Grand Prix. See ya!